Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And everybody, welcome to a Hogville.net special. I have got special host AP Steadham from AP and Kelly, as we see it, a syndicated radio show. I want to thank Cloy's Southern Eats, our proud sponsor. Make sure to go and pick up all of their great seasonings for your next tailgate or backyard cookout. And always go re-experience the magic of Cloy's and come get you some. AP, my man, how you doing tonight?
Hey, great to be here, Jason. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to tell you, if fans are not quite familiar with you, they need to follow you on social media, because it seems like if you're not at the best game of the weekend, you're at the best gathering. You're at the Super Bowl. You are at the national championship. You're everywhere, and every time I see it, you're also going to professional sporting events and covering them too. And it's always fun to just kind of follow your travels.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We try to do so many things through the years. I think I'm the only person in America, Jason. I haven't thought about it, but the other day somebody mentioned it to me. And yeah, the Super Bowl, the NFL draft, the college football playoffs, the championship, the Final Four, SEC championship game, regular season games, college basketball games, women's games. I covered the WNBA draft before, Major League Baseball team, professional football teams, basketball teams, Heisman Trophy ceremony, the Maxwell Award, the Walter Camp functions. Those are some that I can recall.
That's a list and a half, I'm telling you. And that's why people need to go follow you and your journeys, because you can really look at the insight and the travels of a college football writer and of somebody that also follows college sports and professional sports. They can really kind of live through you a little bit too.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've been very fortunate. And yeah, AP and Kelly, as we see it, with the capital S, capital E, capital C, signifying Southeastern Conference. It has two connotations, really, right? As we see it, our opinions and observations and thoughts, and then as we see it, SEC. So we speak about every team every week. And then we also keep an eye on some of the national games and the national scene, because eventually we all know, Jason, those SEC teams, they're going to match up against some of these other teams from around the country, whether it's the playoffs or bowl games or regular season, non-conference games. So we keep an eye on them too, but we emphasize the Southeastern Conference, and we try to give our opinions and our observations and thoughts and some things that we view that are important.
And also, make sure to check out their Facebook page, and you can find out each affiliate that they're on each week. You can tune in all throughout the SEC as well, and make sure to follow AP and Kelly both, because again, it's a well-rounded show each week.
Yeah, each week we're at a different game, and primarily this week we're going out of the conference. But yeah, you can follow us on our Facebook page because we archive every episode from our very first show. You can go back and listen to some of the guests we've had on. We try to have unique people that are interesting, and I try to make it entertaining for myself. I figure if it entertains me, then it should be able to entertain the audience. So if I'm at a game, you're seeing the video interviews of the players, the coach, anybody else we run across that day. Maybe, for instance, we were at the Auburn versus California game. We interviewed Jason Campbell, the radio analyst, the former All-American quarterback. We did an interview with him before the game in the booth, right in the press box. So we put that up on our Facebook page as well.
So let's get down to it. Arkansas and Auburn, they're facing off this week. I know that Hugh Freeze hasn't really mentioned any discussion of bowl up until this week. They're at their 5th win. They're looking for a 6th win to get bowl eligible at 5-4 so far. And with him having this first season, I feel like if you're going to get Auburn, this is the year to get it, because after this, from what Hugh Freeze has done with his teams from year 1 to 2, that trajectory just keeps going up.
Right, and he has an SEC team that he's coaching, 1 of 14. Those are valuable coaching positions, and people want to be in this conference. I think he's probably going to have some success in the transfer portal and recruiting some maybe junior college players and highly touted freshmen as well. He has the quarterback from Michigan State, Peyton Thorne. He's really taken command the last 2 games, pretty good passing numbers, and he had been complimented on the running game with Jarquez Hunter. So that's some of the good things happening with Auburn. They don't have the playmakers on the outside. They have a tight end. Rivaldo Fairweather came from, FIU? I think it was. I get him mixed up sometimes. FAU down in the South Florida. But he's got some ability, 6'4". You can go to him down by the goal line, which they've done on certain situations. Defense has been pretty solid, except that LSU game where they just got wiped off the map, 48 to. What was that final score? Was it 48-13 that game? I believe it was. Yeah, they just, nobody could stop LSU right there, except when you hit their quarterback.
That is the truth. And, that's what's one of the things with Arkansas, too. They've only went as far as KJ Jefferson has brought them. You've had the offensive coordinator change now. Danny Nose was out after the Mississippi State game. They bring in Kenny Guyton. Elevate him from the wide receivers coach position to OC and quarterback coach. And if you look at the makeup of that Florida game last week, it kind of was a trend. It was kind of a crossover from the last 2 years to the Florida game, because there was a lot of the Kendall Briles style hurry up offense that KJ runs really well. He's not a sit back pocket passer.
No.
And Sam really got back to the roots for KJ, and I think that's where they were really successful last week.
Yeah, it's surprising that it takes them so long, but maybe they said, hey, we were close in a few games, because if you look, they challenged Alabama.
Yeah.
They challenged LSU. I was at the LSU game. That was an excellent ball game. He was hitting those big, tall receivers. They're not fast, but they're tall and rangy, and they can go up and high point the ball. So he had quite a bit of success that night. So Arkansas, BYU game was tight at home. You want to win those games at home, especially non-conference games. But they just had they didn't do enough on offense. And, defensively, we all know they had trouble last year. And then most of the time they played much better. But you got to win those close ball games. You have to find a way to get it done. And they didn't. So there was 6 in a row. And the Ole Miss game was close. That was a typo. That was a great ball game as well. 1 touchdown game. I'm just looking at all their scores. And then Mississippi State, they just fell flat, right? They just 3 points. I mean, you and I could coach 3-point offense, right?
Yeah, sure can. We can push across 3 points.
Yeah, we can get 3 points on the board somehow. 1.5 apiece.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then unfortunately, Rocket Sanders, one of the best running backs, has been injured. all season. He came back last week, had the 100 yards, right, and helped them to the victory. So, but, usually Arkansas, they can block well. They're opening holes, but their offensive line hasn't done as well. Sam, that's his forte, offensive lineman. And I'm just looking at some of the stats, for instance, on the sacks, 36 sacks this season. The quarterback has been sacked at Arkansas. The only one that I know above him is Alabama at 37. Yeah. Alabama's quarterback's been sacked 37. Defensively, they had 25 sacks by the defense. Auburn was 22 quarterback sacks on the offense. Defensively, they've sacked the quarterback 21 times. In the turnover department, it's not a lot of plus for the turnovers for the SEC. The highest is Ole Miss at +8. Auburn's at +4. Arkansas is at +2. Just to give you an example, it's +16, number one in the country, Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, if they're right there, and I heard a stat on the radio when I was driving down to the Mississippi State game. Before that game, Arkansas had lost all of their games by a total of 36 points, which was 6 points a game, which is a touchdown, or 2 field goals for that matter.
Yeah, right.
They're right there, and that was what was so frustrating for the Razorback fan base. One,
yes,
they're all one-score games. That they're right there at the cusp. Two, Rocket Sanders being hurt, he only had 93 yards going into the Florida game last week.
Yeah.
Now he has a first 100-yard game of the season. Also, that was the first 100-yard rusher for the Razorbacks in SEC play this year. And they almost had 2 because KJ was 5 yards short.
5 yards short, yeah.
So they have the horses, and I think that Sam and Kenny, and also going back and looking at with KJ, in order to be effective, that offensive line has got to have the timing cut down for them. I was talking to David Cutcliffe, great friend, and he said, your offense has got to go down. He said, your offense is only going to be a 5-second offense, a 3-second offense, or a 2-second offense.
Right.
And you have to pare those plays down to what your offense
the rhythm
is.
Yeah.
And that's what they finally did.
Yeah, it's that there's a little bit of science in there to the game of football with those numbers. And especially in the passing game, we all know it's rhythm. It's not like years ago when you're running around in the backfield, although we've seen some of those things with Patrick Mahomes and a number of players, Caleb Williams at USC, but not everyone can do those types of things week after week, game after game. You need that rhythm, that 1.5, 1-2 throw, 1-2-3 throw, 1-2-3 4 5 throw, something. It has to be in rhythm, and you have to have the support of your teammates. The receivers must catch the ball. The tight ends have to catch the ball. Running backs must catch the ball. The offensive line must block. The running backs must pick up the blitz, and the quarterback has to have the vision, the knowledge, and the wisdom to go through the process and find the receivers in a timely manner and get rid of the ball.
And that's what KJ's doing now. And before, it was read 1, read 2, read 3, outlet. If all of those aren't there, then you go ahead and break away, which, again, is a pure pocket passer, which is not who he is. No. Now his eyes are different. They're not looking at the defensive, the free safety and the middle linebacker. He's looking at the defensive ends. He has 2 reads. He's got a 1, he's got an outlet, and if that's not there, take off. Takes off,
right? They simplified it for him.
Yep, and that's where I think that he was wanting to get to. And I know that Sam had talked about after the Florida game, one of the things that they were very frustrated about was that the plays that they were running in practice were not the plays that they were running during the game. And he had mentioned that. Yeah. And that's why you saw that turnover at the OC position. And he said, now we're starting to run the plays that we run in practice in the games, and you can see the difference now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry it took so long for the coaching staff to revitalize the offense by having some clear-cut analysis that figured it out for a KJ in the offense. But you have to react quicker and adapt as a coaching staff. Because they lost 6 in a row and they were close, but maybe they were thinking, hey, the next game we'll get them. Maybe that was something that was part of their thought process. We don't want to change it because we're right on the cusp.
Yeah, and that's one of the, I think that's one of the things that Sam kept thinking was, we're right there. We're within one score. All we need is, like at the end of the LSU, or at the end of the first half of the LSU game, where they bust a huge play and offense kind of opens up for Jaden Daniels after that.
Yeah.
I thought that might be something that might happen for KJ, and it just never happened.
No. Listened to a little bit of Sam this week on the teleconference. Every week we listen into all the 14 coaches, as you probably do as well. But he emphasized the tackling this week because Auburn, they like to run the football, and Jarquez Hunter and the quarterback is pretty shifty. Of course, if Robbie Ashford comes off the bench from Auburn, you know how he's very fast. And maybe they might see Holden Gerner this week as well. He was the third string. I think he's been elevated to the second, and Robbie Ashford still has the packages because he can run around the red zone area. But he kind of hinted, Hugh Freeze, maybe that if things slow down, I'll put in Gerner in the ball game, which I don't think he played any significant minutes. I don't think this year. I can't recall. But Peyton Thorne, he can run the football. Surprisingly, he's much faster than I thought. When I didn't get a chance to review him as much at Michigan State, but I saw him in that California game out there in Berkeley, and he can run fairly well. But his passing was suspect, very spotty, wasn't accurate. He throws some good passes, but not enough to win in the SEC. So they need more talent on the team, Jason. They need much more talent, especially at the wide receiver position. You have to have people that can separate, command double teams. Then you're an offensive coordinator going to practice every day feeling confident. But when you're trying to say, I've got to coach every play, I mean, I can't just say, all right, throw it to number 10. He's going to run 60 yards for a touchdown for us. No, I have to scheme and devise something for every single play just to be maybe even.
Yeah. And that's tough. I've looked at Auburn's win-loss record this year. They opened up with the first 3 wins of the season.
Right.
They had a really tough, almost mirrored Arkansas in their schedule. Auburn had Georgia, Arkansas had Alabama. But, you still had A&M, you had Ole Miss, and then, what was that other?
Auburn played the A&M and Georgia had the week off. Then they played LSU, and Arkansas had LSU, A&M, and then Ole Miss.
That's right. And you look, I know that Hugh Freeze had to look at that part of the schedule and say, okay, this is where we need to run up with the first 3 games of the season. I know that Cal game didn't quite go the way that a lot of Auburn fans thought it might. They thought Cal was actually a lot better.
Cal played a tough ball game.
Yeah. They
How was that game?
They've played well all season in the West in the Pac-12.
Yeah. And most of the time, sure did.
That was one of the things I think that really kind of surprised Auburn fans was how tough Cal played them.
When you're traveling to California, and Auburn hasn't done that very much in their history. I don't think they played the Pac-12 very often. I know they played USC once in a home and homes situation, but and maybe it was the first time against California, if I recall. So they're going to get excited to play an SEC team. They've been hearing about them for over 10 years now. So SEC team comes to town, there's that fear. We're not going to be embarrassed, and we want to represent our conference and our state and our part of the country. So, they were tough all evening, and they gave Auburn everything they wanted. Finally, Peyton Thorne, he threw a seam pass, and then he threw a touchdown to Rivaldo Fairweather, that big tight end that I mentioned to you. So, and they came out with the victory 14-10. But Auburn had about 10,000 fans out there, Jason. They had the Tiger Walk and everything. Yeah, I put all that on my Facebook page of the Tiger Walk and photos and things and interviews afterwards. Yeah.
Man, that's a heck of a following. 10,000 fans in an early September game. That you don't see that a lot. So I mean, of course, Auburn fans travel. I think is that the first time they played since the national championship against Florida State in the Rose Bowl out in California?
Yeah, California, and then it was really odd. Jason, one thing the coach said, Hugh Freeze, I couldn't imagine why he said this. He said he didn't really enjoy the trip per se to go out there to the West Coast. It's a long trip. And I'm thinking, gee whiz, this is the SEC. They're trying to get their brand everywhere. I think Auburn is recruiting a tackle, I think, from modern day high school. I thought I saw that, but you want to get your brand everywhere. So I think I asked him one week during the teleconference, or maybe I saw him somewhere, and I said, Coach, do you want to rethink that statement? Because don't you believe that, let's say you're from Alabama or you're from Mississippi or Georgia. Maybe you've never been to California.
Yeah.
And you love to play out there. It's fun. It's a great atmosphere. The stadium was engulfed by the mountains surrounding the field. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a nice night, but they don't travel to California very often. I'd have to look that up. I know they played at USC early, like when Matt Leinart was out there. I think it was a home and home series. I think they played. Remember, I think they played Carson Palmer, and then the next year with Matt Leinart came to Auburn, and they beat Auburn back to back. The first game was close, I think 24-17. The next one was 23-0 down at Auburn.
Ouch. Yeah, and that's Arkansas has going back to tight ends for just a second. I feel that those are always a secret weapon, and you and I've always talked about tight ends being a secret weapon.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's the best matchup. The best matchup, Jason, right? If you get an athletic tight end, linebacker can't run with him. Safety, cornerback, star position, let's say, the fifth defensive back, he's too big and strong. Yeah.
And Arkansas has lost their top two tight ends of the season to injuries. Luke has.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, be on the lookout for him. He might be a Mackey Award winner before it's all said and done, before he leaves Arkansas.
So talented.
Yeah, he's very talented. And then you've got Ty Washington last week. He's starting to finally kind of come into his own, and then he gets injured. He's out for the season. So now Arkansas is down to their third string tight end, coming into a really pivotal matchup against Auburn.
Yeah, that's difficult, because for a quarterback, if you have a good tight end, you feel confident that, okay, if my receivers can't get open, I'm looking for the big fella in the middle against these smaller players or slower players. I can get it to him, and he can take advantage of the situation and bail me out, bail us out. Yeah.
With Jarquez Hunter, he's almost eclipsed his 2022 rushing total for last year through 9 games this season. What type of matchup nightmare is he going to present to that Arkansas front seven? Yeah,
he started out very slow this year, and had some injuries or whatever. But Jarquez, is a good back, and if he gets out in the open field, he's got not exceptional speed, but good speed. He can take it to the house, long distance. He doesn't run out of breath or anything of that nature. He's in good shape and can make those long runs. He's not very tall, so he has pretty good balance. But he's been a good back at Auburn. He's been somebody, they haven't had the best offensive line, Jason. They really struggled. Auburn, that's one of the issues through the years, not winning games. You don't have the big beef up front that's productive and can knock people down at the line of scrimmage, then that means your offense is not as effective. Your defense is playing more. You're not scoring enough points. You're not supporting your quarterback or your running back. But he's been a good running back for him, I'd say.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, the calling card, it seems like, for Auburn this year has been their defense. That's one of the things that Hugh Freeze has been able to count on. They kept him in the game against A&M on the road, which Kyle Field's always a tough environment, and it kept him really close into these ball games. What type of nightmare is that going to present for Kenny Guyton going against this stiff Auburn defense?
Yeah, they played very hard most of the time. Like I said, the only time that they really were overwhelmed, you look at that LSU game, that was a bad loss for them, 48 points. But like I said, LSU is putting 48 on everybody as long as Jaden Daniels is in the ball game at the quarterback position. So, yeah, they'll tackle well. A&M had a good day against them, point-wise 27. But everything else has been fairly close. Even the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss was a good offensive team, averaging 38. They held them to the 28 points, and then they had the last two games. Mississippi State, as cannot score. very much. So they were able to put 27, hold them to 13. And then Vanderbilt, of course, they're struggling offensively and defensively. They're giving up over 30 points. So they put 31 on the board. So you gain a little confidence by playing teams that are struggling offensively, and you have enough defense to shut them down, which you should, because their offense has not been sound throughout the year. And then you have some success with the balance of the pass and the run, which has escaped Auburn, as I said, because they just do not have the people on the perimeter to command a double team, to get open, to be a threat every time.
I really feel like this Arkansas-Auburn game is going to be a real chess match this weekend. And I'm not saying they're I'll say that they're almost kind of lined up, almost mirror image of each other, kind of how their seasons went so far. And so I really I'm very intrigued on how, Sam's going to play it going against Hugh after Hugh came in last year with KJ being out, whenever Hugh came in with Liberty and beat him 13-10. I do.
Right.
I have to double check on that score, but it was
close. I remember.
It was a one-score game, yeah. And Hugh, you don't want to lose at home, but now you've got Hugh Freeze coming in with Auburn. This is going to be a real chess match.
Yeah, they know each other, right? They're familiar with each other. I mean, they've both been in the conference at various schools, and then this Auburn-Arkansas series has been pretty close, hasn't it, Jason? Back and forth through the years.
Yeah,
nobody's really taken the. Yep, I don't know the exact series numbers, but I think recently it's been one team wins, and then the next year the other team is victorious. So I think it's kind of been back and forth. No serious. No long streaks, I don't think.
No, it's been pretty. Auburn leads the series 19-12.
19-12, okay.
So it's within striking distance. I mean, it's within 7 games, but
no, it's not dominating. Yeah, slightly. Yeah,
it's definitely not Arkansas, Alabama for the last 17, 18 years now. It's not been
no
A&M for the last 12.
Yeah, that's been tough for Arkansas, those two series, right? Yeah. Jason, let me ask you something. Do you think Sam? Do you think his best strategy recruiting is going to be the transfer portal, some very good freshmen, junior college players, or all three of those, and anything else you could come up with that I haven't mentioned? He doesn't have one area where he's going to concentrate. He has to get players from everywhere.
I think he's going to have to kind of piecemeal it a little bit. He's starting to see some players decommit now. Not, they're not, signing yet, but signing period in December, the early signing period's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah.
The players that he is losing, he's having to re-recruit again. And he's losing like Courtney Crutchfield, 4-star wide receiver from South Central Arkansas.
That's not good.
Eli Drinkowitz at Missouri.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, when you're losing the Arkansas players, that's bad for a state that doesn't have a lot. It's not populated with a great deal amount of football players.
And, you had Arkansas have that high turnover rate last year. They had to go back into the portal. I think that they were only behind A&M on the amount of players that they lost to the portal. I really think that Sam is going to have to go into the portal to recruit some guys that he knows that they can play right off the bat. That's what he's done with the defense. The defensive secondary is pretty much almost turned over, except for Hudson Clark. Almost all new guys in that backfield starting from last year.
Jason, has the defense in your mind played better? I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers.
Yes.
Because last year was kind of a disaster, was it not, defensively, especially the defensive backfield, the secondary?
It was so weird because the front seven was getting penetration. They were getting
sacks. They were.
They were allowing everything behind them.
Right.
Now, this year, they're keeping everything in front of them, but they're not as effective in the front seven. And
right.
That's where I really worry about this game against Auburn, because they are going to – I really feel that they could be effective at the line of scrimmage. Now, if Arkansas can win the line of scrimmage, that might be a different story. But if Arkansas is able to keep everything in front of them, and I really think that they might have a decent shot.
Yeah, because Auburn, there's not much margin of error offensively, because it's going to be Peyton Thorne hitting some passes and then Hunter running the football. And if they shut down Peyton Thorne, especially on third down, as we know, they can make him one-dimensional and then gang up on the run. Because I think I think Arkansas could probably play man against this Auburn team. And yeah, at times, I mean, if they don't feel comfortable, the majority of the plays on defense, I would say critical moments, maybe they can force them to be really accurate with their throw, because you're playing man-to-man in the secondary. Because, like I said, I don't have any fear if I'm the other opposing defensive coordinator watching Auburn's wide receivers.
Yeah, and that's where Travis Williams, and I really feel him and Marcus Woodson, both co-defensive coordinators here, their first year, they've really amped up and brought back pressure to the quarterback that they really haven't had the last couple of years. And I feel like that's put a lot of pressure on making some maybe errant throws or ill-timed throws, where it's put the defensive backfield in a better position.
Right. What is defense in this era of football, Jason? Defense in this era is, can we get a few critical stops so we get more possessions for our high-powered offense? I mean, you saw it, Georgia, even Georgia. I mean, Auburn played them straight up. If it wasn't for Brock Bowers, one of the players went out and they didn't guard him for 4 or 5 plays, and he's making one-handed catches. He literally just went down the field, the Georgia offense, by throwing it to Brock Bowers. He took it in for the last 30 or 40 yards on a crossing pattern to the right side of the end zone there, the corner. And if they had just stopped him once or twice, it might have went into overtime, and then you never know. Then everybody gets a little bit tighter. They coach tighter. The players get tighter. And of course, Auburn, they could play wide open because they're playing with house money.
So in your view, what does Hugh Freeze need to do whenever off-season hits? What is the first thing that he really needs to hit harder? Does he need to hit the portal harder, or does he need to hit the high school recruiting? Kind of what you were asking me also.
I'm thinking if I'm Auburn, I'm trying to turn this thing around quickly, because I know I've got a good game plan and I can call the right plays for the team. And I've been in this league a while and had success in other schools running in an offense. I've got to get a number one receiver. I've got to get somebody that is a threat on that outside to run by people so we can back off this defense. I've got to get more linemen, because in this league where they have the big people that can move, that separates this league from all the other leagues. We've got to get offensive linemen that can block and give ourselves a chance with our quarterback and our running backs, and make clear a path for the holes for the running backs. But I've got to get somebody who makes a difference on the outside. That's the name of the game. This is a passing era in college football. There's no question. And if you're below average at the wide receiver position, every game your quarterback is under duress, because he's thinking, I really can't throw it over there because I'm not sure if they're going to be able to fight for the ball. It might be intercepted, then it's going to be on me. So there's those things that creep into your mind subconsciously, maybe not consciously, subconsciously. I can't throw the ball because I don't know if he's going to fight for it. And I don't know if he'll make me look good when I throw the ball over that way. And it'd be a detriment to our team.
Yeah. Well, so going into the Auburn game, who are the one offensive, one defensive player that you might want to keep an eye on that could be a game changer for Auburn?
Yeah, you want to watch Peyton Thorne. If he's in a rhythm throwing the ball, and Hugh Freeze, he understands that they don't have the game breakers. So if they can complete some short passes just to be successful and get in a third down play, maybe 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4, and if the running back Hunter, and it all depends upon the matchups, right? We know they played Vanderbilt. He ran the ball well. He ran the ball well against Mississippi State. But this is Arkansas. Is he going to be able to run the football? If he does, he's going to get a lot of carries, because we know he can get 180 yards, 200 yards if he's having a hot night and the offensive line is opening the hole. So you've got to watch the quarterback for Auburn. If he doesn't get it done, if I'm Hugh Freeze, I'm not waiting. I probably wait a quarter and a half, nothing happened, and I might put in that holding Gurner. He's hinted that he has practiced well throwing the football, and they may need a spark. So him, and then those are two players on offense anyway, and then the linebacker, what's his name? I forgot his last name, but he's one of their leaders on the defensive side, the linebacker for Auburn. They can put pressure. Like I say, their sacks, 22 sacks. That's not a big number. It's probably like an average number. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, escaped my mind. There you go. Yeah, he's a good player for them on defense. Yeah.
He leads the team in tackles with 67. Also, you've got Jalen Simpson on that backside. He's got 4 interceptions on the season as well.
Right. Yeah, I think he was injured during the season a little bit as well. So, yeah, if they could have him and he's healthy, that helps him out as well. But Auburn's a team that he knows he's limited offensively. The defense, if they're not on the field too much, they'll give you a good effort and hold the other team down. They're giving up at this point 22 points a game. Arkansas is giving up 24 points per game.
One of the things that I'm going to look for on Saturday is, can Arkansas's defense keep converting turnovers into points or setting up the offense to easier scores? That's what they've been doing all season. They've got, if I'm not mistaken, 4 interceptions for touchdowns, or 3. I'm not sure. I need to double check. No, 3, and then also a strip that went back for a touchdown by freshman Jalen Braxton. So that's one of the things I'm wanting to see is, can Auburn limit the turnovers? And if they do turn the ball over, is Arkansas able to put themselves in a position to either score or put the offense in a better position?
Yeah. These teams, the spread, Arkansas is the 3-point favorite at home.
Yeah.
So they're looking at it. The folks who come up with those numbers, they think it's going to be a tight ball game. I would say it will be, because the offenses are not explosive, unless the matchup is really bad that day, and they're going to pulverize and running the ball, or KJ Jefferson's going to have a field day in the open field, scrambling and throwing as well. Arkansas has those big receivers. They're tough to guard.
That's one of the things that I know, Sam, that when he went into the portal, that was one of the things he wanted to make very clear, that he wanted size on the edges and the wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have speed, you look for size at least.
Yep, and you've got Tesla that's 6'4", Andrew Armstrong, which I think is going to end up being able to come back out of concussion.
He's probable, I think, 6'4". Right? Yeah, probable. I think they said probable. Yeah.
Yep, and then you got Tyrone Broden, which is 6'7" also, and so you got that size. Now, can KJ start to exploit that size on the outsides? And if he can, I think that Arkansas might have a little bit easier time scoring, because I don't think that Arkansas is going to be able to make their money in the middle, in the trenches on Saturday.
Having Rocket back certainly helps.
Yeah, it does.
Different football team with him. And you have to take that in consideration if you're Auburn. So that helps everyone when you have an outstanding all-SEC type player, and you have to focus in on him and draw more resources to watching what he does. And so that helps everybody.
It does. Well, AP, man, I'm going to get you out of here, and I want to thank you so much for joining me. It's always a treat, always a pleasure to have you on, and I love our conversations, man.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, and check us out, AP and Kelly As We See It. We have our show every week, and it's on many affiliates, and then also if you miss it, it's on our Facebook page every episode, and we really appreciate it. And yeah, Arkansas, they've had an up and down season, but this is a game they could win. It'll be close, but like I said, those turnovers will be a factor if somebody gets careless.
Yeah, and also want to put a quick plug in there for the Wishbone Boys as well. Be sure to check that out as well. If you have not seen it yet, it is an incredible, incredible documentary that AP
thank you so much.
Directly, a part of.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun producing that. One of the producers, and getting those players all together, all the outstanding players of that 12-year era of the Wishbone, which led to 3 more titles for Alabama under Coach Bryant, made that bold move. And it was really one of the best second chapters in American sports, really.
Yep. All right, well, AP, I'm going to get you out of here, and you take care, okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate it. Really enjoyed being on your show.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. And that has been a Hogville special with AP Steadham from AP and Kelly As We See It. Y'all, make sure to check us out post-game right after Arkansas-Auburn. Whenever the clock hits 0, we will be live. at Razorback Stadium this Saturday. And also make sure to jump on at 3 p.m. with myself and Otis Kirk with the Razorback Football Report. And then at 4:30 with Dudley Dawson, myself with the Razorback Diamond Report. I'm your host, Jason Patterson. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Coy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CoysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.